Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson in my beginner piano course level 1. If you enjoy these videos, don't forget to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. In today's lesson, we're going to learn about dynamics, how to play them and what they mean. So music has kind of three planes. There is the rhythm, how long or short the notes are after each other, how fast it is, and we've got the melody, which is the pitches, how high or how low a note is, and these two basically make music very recognizable. But the third element of music, expression, is what makes music truly beautiful and what helps us distinguish ourselves from other players. So one of the big tools of expression is dynamics. If we played music the same volume all the way through, it would sound quite boring and uninteresting. But if we vary our notes and phrases by playing some notes loud and other ones quieter, then the music suddenly becomes a lot more interesting. In notation, we use signs to show us where to play loud and where to play quiet, and these signs are called dynamics. And we use lowercase letters for these, and the two most important ones are P and F. The little p stands for piano, which actually means quiet or soft playing, and F stands for forte in Italian, which is loud playing. Now, these are the two most important ones, the two contrasting dynamics signs, but of course we can shade this infinitely, and the most commonly used ones, especially for beginners, are MP, which is mezzo piano, which is medium quiet, so a little bit louder than piano. And then we've got mezzo forte, or MF, which is medium loud, which is a little bit quieter than loud. We can intensify the meaning of P and F by using multiple letters. So PP, which is pianissimo, is going to be a lot quieter than P, and PPP is going to be a lot quieter than PP. So the more P's you see, the quieter the music has to be, and the more F's you see, the louder the music has to be. So FF is louder than F, and FFF is louder than FF. Theoretically, it can go on infinitely, but obviously there's only so many shades we can create on the piano, and that's why we mostly use up to 3 or 4 P's and F's. The most important thing to note about these dynamic signs is that they are not absolute values. What does that mean? It means that if you see P, you don't know actually how quiet P is. So it doesn't mean 50 decibels, it doesn't mean like number 3 on your amplifier or on your digital piano. P is just a relative term, and so is F and MF. So on its own, we don't really know how loud loud is, and we don't really know how quiet quiet is. Having said that, these are relative terms. It means that they are relative to each other. So if you have a piece where the beginning starts P and the ending finishes F, you know that the ending is going to be much louder than the beginning, independently of how loud loud is. So the point is that loud always has to be louder than quiet. It doesn't matter how loud loud is, as long as it's louder than the quiet part in the same piece of music. The other reason why we don't have absolute terms is because every piano is different, the action is different, the size of the piano is different. A smaller piano is never going to be able to be as loud as a 9-foot concert ground, so you can see why these terms are relative. So now that we know the basic dynamics signs, we have 2 more to cover. Now, all the signs that I've talked about are static signs, which basically means that if you see P at the beginning of a musical phrase, everything is going to be played quietly until you see something else. So for example, if there is a P at the beginning of the first line and there is an F at the beginning of the 4th line, the first 3 lines have to be played quietly at the same volume. And the same applies to F, MF, and so on. So the level stays the same for the whole section from the moment you see that sign. But what happens if I want to change the volume continuously? In that case, we use transitional signs, which is crescendo or diminuendo. Crescendo in English means getting louder, and sometimes you see a sign which looks like a hairpin, which you can see on the screen, and the hairpin is getting louder, so closed on the left side and opening up towards the right side, and that means you're getting louder continuously, little by little. So not quiet and loud, but quiet to loud. The opposite of this is diminuendo or decrescendo. You can see that sometimes as well. And the shortened form is dim or decresh, and it's the opposite of the hairpin. So it's open and it's getting smaller and it closes at the end. So these two values are transitional, and it means that you go from quiet to loud and loud to quiet. So now that we understand all of these terms, let's have a look at a couple of examples to demonstrate how this actually sounds, and you can practice those as well. So let's start with the first phrase. As you can see, it says P, quiet, and it's just a 5-note scale going up and then down, down, and finishing on the C. So we're gonna start on the C and play it as gently as we can. If you've never played dynamics before, you have to kind of experiment with the feel, because it's not just being forceful, it's also about the speed of how quickly you attack the note. If you go very quick, it's going to make a louder sound even if you're not putting so much force into it. The second example is the same, but loud all the way through. So we're going to start with a big forceful hand. And the third example combines quiet and loud. So one bar is quiet, the next bar is loud, then quiet and loud again. And the last one is a little bit more interesting, because we start quiet. As we go up the scale, we get louder. We reach the loudest point, and then as we come down the scale, we get quieter. And then as we go up the scale, we get louder again and finish very loud. So it has the transitional values, the crescendo and decrescendo. So as you could hear, I didn't go from loud to quiet and quiet to loud instantly. I went little by little. Every note in the sequence was getting a little bit louder than the one before. And that's how you create an effective crescendo and decrescendo. So I hope this little example managed to demonstrate the basics of dynamics, how certain values are static or the same for the whole section, and other values are transitional. They get louder and quieter little by little. Make sure to memorize the dynamics marks or signs, and hopefully now you can add another dimension to your performances and make them even more interesting by shading the loudness. If you enjoy this lesson, make sure to check out the premium version of this course, which is going to include a free method book, lots of filmed video tutorials for sight reading exercises, technical exercises, performance pieces, and best of all, you're going to get personal feedback from me to make sure your progress is as smooth and efficient as it can get.